Hey everybody, it's Clint with CCUA here, back for another cooking video. Today, we are going to learn all about cooking eggs. We're going to do eggs 3 ways. We're going to first do a pretty simple scramble, after that an even simpler hard boil, and then we'll knock it up a notch and check out a frittata. So remember, before you cook in the kitchen, anytime you want to make sure you get those hands scrubbed with some soap and warm water. I've already done that and rinsed all of our vegetables we'll be using today and cleaned all of our surfaces, so we are good to go. So for our scrambled eggs today, we're going to need a few things. Of course, we're going to need some eggs. I've got a dozen here. We're only going to use 4 for our scramble, but you can use as many as you need. Good rule of thumb is about 2 eggs per person. You're going to need a small bowl. I've got this little pitcher here that we're going to use to whisk our eggs in, and a whisk. If you don't have a whisk, a fork will do the trick. Other than that, just some salt, some pepper, and then a skillet and a spatula. Alright, so the first step is going to be to heat our skillet up. I'm just going to turn on that burner. We're going to do that over a medium heat. And get our grease fan going there a little bit. While that's heating up, go ahead and grab your eggs. Like I said, we're just going to do 4 eggs for this recipe. Make sure you're careful not to get any shell in there. Nobody wants a crunch when they're eating scrambled eggs. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and wash some of that egg yolk off my hands. Alright, once you got your eggs in here, we're going to add just a little bit of salt. That's going to help break down some of those proteins in the egg. Just a couple twists of our salt grinder there. A little bit of pepper. And my secret ingredient is just a splash of heavy whipping cream. That's just going to help us get some nice, fluffy eggs going. It's looking a little separated, so I'm just going to shake that up real quick. And you really want just a splash. And go ahead and take your whisk. You can get started. A nice close-up view here of our eggs. Just like to kind of mash them a bit just to get those yolks broken. And then just whisk it up. Now you can definitely over-whisk eggs, but when you're just doing a scramble like this, you don't have to worry about it too much. You just want to get it so that the eggs and the yolk, or sorry, the whites and the yolk are nice and mixed up so you can't tell where one starts and one ends. Alright, I think that's good. I think our skillet's all heated up now, so we can go ahead and toss them in. Alright, now when your pan is heated up, you want to make sure that it's not too hot, otherwise your eggs will just fry up as soon as they hit the skillet. Then you can pour your eggs in. So I already have some olive oil in here. You're going to want to put some butter, some oil, some cooking spray, something in there to help keep the eggs from sticking. But once it's heated up, you can just pour them right in. And you should start to see them bubble in just a little bit. And what I like to do with scrambled eggs is just kind of constantly push from the outside in. And it might take a little bit, but not too long. Now you can start to see, starting to get some nice clumps of eggs in here. Getting less liquidy by the minute. Now scrambled eggs are pretty versatile. You can add all sorts of ingredients you want. I'm just doing just eggs and salt and pepper right now, but you can throw in ham, bacon, onions, some greens, maybe some spinach in there. Really just whatever you want. It's the great thing about eggs is they kind of go with everything. And then of course once they're done you can eat them by themselves, or you can use them in a tortilla, make some breakfast burritos, make a breakfast casserole with your scrambled eggs. All sorts of options. And you want to just kind of keep pushing them around until they're not runny anymore. You want to be careful not to overcook it though. If you start to overcook it, then it's going to get dry, it's going to get rubbery, and that's what nobody's looking for that in their scrambled eggs. You can kind of start chopping them up a little bit. And there you have it, scrambled eggs. We're gonna go ahead and turn that burner off and transfer these over to a bowl. So up next is our hard-boiled eggs. And this recipe is about as simple as cooking water. All you need is a pot or saucepan, your eggs, and then enough water to cover up your eggs by 1 or 2 inches. So what you're going to want to do is take your eggs and just line the bottom of whatever pot you're using. I'm just going to do about 8 eggs here in the bottom of this pot. That's about how many will fit. Cover them up. So that there's about 1 inch of water over them. Then you just want to start your burner. We're going to do this on a higher heat, just so it gets to boiling. And then once you get it to a boil, you're just going to wait about 10 minutes. So we'll come back when those are done. We'll let them cool down, then we'll crack them open to see how they turn out. All right, everybody, our eggs are done boiling. And just a little bit of recap and clarification. We put our eggs in, covered them up with 1 inch of water, turned the burner on, and got it to a nice rolling boil. I turned the heat off, covered it up with a lid, and waited 10 minutes. Now we're ready to take the eggs out. What we're going to do is dump those in an ice bath. That's going to help cool them down, and also going to help the shell separate from the egg a little bit easier. I'll go ahead and move my ice water over here to the stove. I've just got a nice slotted spoon here I'm going to use to take those out of the hot water, put them in the cold water. There we go. Now we'll just let these cool down for a second. We'll be ready to get them peeled. All right, let's go ahead and crack one of these eggs open, see how it turned out. I want to take it, and then just start peeling the shell off. Now, depending on the eggs you use, where they're from, how they were raised, you know, you're gonna have better or worse luck in getting them peeled. Ideally, you want them to separate pretty easy and not take too much of the egg with it. You can see just took a little bit of chunk out of it there. That's all right. It's not going to bother me. Just take your time with it. There's no rush. Then once you get all your eggs peeled, there's actually a lot you can do with them. They make great snacks with just a little bit of salt on them. Or you can use them as an ingredient in all kinds of stuff. You can use them in egg salad, tuna salad, any sort of salad really. You can make deviled eggs, a personal favorite of mine, or my very favorite way to use hard-boiled eggs is pickling them. We'll actually go over that in one of our next videos. So, there you see it, hard-boiled egg. Let's grab a knife real quick, cut it open, see how it looks. Look at that. Beautiful hard-boiled egg. All right, everybody. So for our last egg recipe today, we're going to go with one of my favorites, the frittata. So our frittata is going to use half a dozen eggs, a quarter cup of heavy whipping cream, a little bit of mustard, it's whatever mustard you got lying around. I've got some Dijon mustard here. Some spices, your salt and pepper, and then we're going to do a mixture in the skillet to cover that with. So a frittata is sort of like a quiche, or an egg bake, just without the crust. And what we're going to do is saute up some ground pork. Just got a pound of ground pork here. Some kale, a little bit of sharp cheddar cheese, and an onion. We're going to get those all sauteed up, and then once that's done, we're going to cover that with a whipped egg mixture. We're going to use those half dozen eggs, a quarter cup of heavy whipping cream, and a splash of that mustard. We're going to dump that right over our veggie sauteed and pop it in the oven. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is get your oven preheated. We're just going to get ours at 400 here. Then you're going to want to heat up a skillet. And just do a medium flame on that skillet. And we're going to get our sausage starting cooking. Alright, while our sausage is cooking up, we're going to go ahead and start chopping some of our veggies. Gonna put that little end off there. We'll leave the root ball. Cut the whole thing in half. And then we're just gonna dice it up. So with a frittata, there's kind of a ratio that you can use, because frittatas are great to not use a recipe for. There's something I love to cook when it's sort of the end of the week and I've got a few eggs and some random vegetables left over. But what you want to do with frittatas is, for each half dozen eggs, use about a quarter cup of cream, a cup of cheese, and about 2 cups of mixed vegetables. Just whatever you got laying around. And today, I chose sausage, kale, and onions. I just think it's such a tasty combo. Push those to the side. There's our onions. Ooh, making my eyes water a little bit. And then before I start the kale, just gonna go double check on our sausage. Cut to here. Our sausage is looking good. We're gonna get started on our kale. All right. What you want to do is just make sure that you get all the leaf off of these thick stems. These are what you don't want. You just want that good leaf. And I just kind of like to tear it off like so. Nothing fancy. You could use just about any green that you wanted. You could use spinach, collards. One that I really like using is mustard greens. It just gives it a little bit of that bitter spiciness that I really like. But that's not for everybody. The kale is generally a pretty safe option. Alright, then once you get it all on there, you can just kind of chop it up. This is a big pile of leaves, which can be kind of weird to chop, but just kind of get in there, cut it up so it's all bite-sized. Nobody wants a big, giant leaf in a bite of anything, really. This looks like a lot of kale, but like any greens, it's going to cook down a ton once we get that in the skillet. And there we go. There's our kale. Sausage is just about done here. Not sure how well you can see from the camera, but there's still just a little bit of pink in there. But we're getting some good brown on some pieces, so we're going to go ahead and add our veggies in there. I already put them in a little container here. We're just going to dump those in. Like I said, looks like a lot right there, but it'll cook way, way, way down. Just going to kind of mix that in just a little bit. Then what we're going to do is toss a lid on it. And we're just going to let those greens wilt a little bit. Alright, so while we do that, we can go ahead and get our egg mixture ready. So like I said, for our egg mixture, we're going to use half a dozen eggs, and I might use one or two extra, just because we did put a lot of veggies in there. We're just going to crack those right in this little bowl here. And we could just whisk them together in this bowl. But I'm actually going to use my stand mixer, kind of make it a little bit easier. I thought a whisk would suit yourself. A whisk would work perfectly fine for this. And again, just be careful, you don't want to get any eggshell in here. I'll rinse my hands off real quick. Do a quick wash. Now we're going to add our 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Measure that out right here. And just a dash of mustard. Just helps give it a little bit extra flavor. We're going to take that whole concoction, put it right in our stand mixer. I'm also going to go ahead and add just a little bit of salt and pepper. And we'll get that mixing. I'm going to start our mixer. You can see our greens have wilted down quite a bit. Our sausage is browned. Our onions are cooked. We're ready to move on to the next step. Go ahead and kind of push this into a nice flat layer in your skillet. And we're going to add some cheese. We're going to add about a cup of cheese. We're just going to sprinkle that right on top. And I'm just using some sharp cheddar here. One of my faves. And spread that out so it's nice and even. And now that our cheese is on there, we are ready to add our egg mixture. So, you can see our mixture here. Nice, beautiful dairy and egg mix. And we're just going to dump that right over top of everything on our skillet. Try and get it nice and spread out. Beautiful. So what we're going to do is wait about 1 or 2 minutes just until the edges of the egg in the skillet start to set. And after that, we're going to move it into the oven and we're going to let it bake. Now remember, we set our oven at 400 degrees earlier. And as soon as this is ready to go into the oven, I'll set my timer for about 10 minutes and we'll check on it and see how it's doing. And here is our finished frittata. So you'll want to make sure that it's done all the way through. You can do that pretty easy. Just take a fork, press down in the middle, just kind of take a peek inside of there. And yep, I can see there's nothing runny in there. We are all good. So you're going to want to let that sit and cool for just a minute, probably 2 or 3 minutes, and you can slice it up and serve it. Thanks for joining us, everybody.